So he's gone for it. I mean, so he's chastising his own players. Do fans appreciate that honesty?
It's a mixed bag, isn't it? There's an element of you want people to speak their mind, and I don't believe that players should be shielded from the criticism, because they're not certainly shielded from the praise. So I think it's about building character, and I think if you can give fair and constructive criticism in the same way that you give unadulterated praise, it builds leaders, it builds characters. In this time of the world that we live in, people can't take criticism, they don't think it's appropriate, and in the football world, it's a must not do. I can't understand what his message is, because he doesn't seem to make his mind up. I can tell you what a team player is. A team player was what you were not at Sheffield United when things didn't go the way you wanted them to be. So I don't think you're particularly the first person to talk about teams. The idea that it's all over the place but won't take much to fix it, well, get on with it and fix it. That's your job. That's what you're there for. If your players don't follow the script, who wrote the script? If your players don't understand their responsibilities and aren't being moulded into a team, then that's on you. That's what you're there to do. And you can take comfort in the fact that 6 other guys before you didn't do the job. But you can also look back on the fact that this Watford model has put Watford in the Premier League 7 years out of the last 10. So something works with this methodology, and some people do a job there, and some people are able to achieve an outcome at Watford that may not be to the liking of people in terms of consistency of manager. I don't like him as a manager. I don't like his attitude.
Why?
Because I don't like the way he operates. I think he's disrespectful when it comes to moments of adversity. I think when it doesn't go his way, he's exactly the kind of manager that I wouldn't want managing for me. And this kind of outburst, this is about him. This is your team.
It's about them.
No, it's about what he is supposed to be doing with them. We know that this team are not where they need to be. We know why the owners have taken managers out in that space, because they can't get a tune. In one hand, he's talking about this group of players wanting to be a bunch of show ponies that only care about themselves. On the other hand, he's saying it won't take much to fix it. Well, if it doesn't take much to fix it, well, fix it then. And if you've got players that are working for you, you are either an effective leader that can concentrate their minds, or you are not. How did you do at Middlesbrough? Carrick picks it up. An inexperienced manager changed the direction of travel. Maybe when you point a finger, there's 3 fingers pointing back. Maybe you need to have a look at yourself. I do like managers coming out. I do believe there's a value in people. But what for? What is it you're trying to achieve? Are you trying to vent your spleen? Are you trying to position yourself in such a way that this can't be your responsibility? You're trying to get a reaction from the players. What is your outcome? Because we can all dispense our dissatisfaction, and we can all vent our spleen if it makes us feel better. But does it achieve anything?
But he's not wrong. The previous 6 haven't got it right. Maybe it's the model of ownership that's not working.
Well, again, I'll point you in the direction of the teams that would love to have been in the Premier League for 7 years out of the last 10. No, it's not a very edifying way to operate, to change the manager 3 or 4 times in a season, to operate the way Watford do, knowing that ultimately whoever goes in there, whatever they achieve, a bit like Chelsea, at some point they're going to get the sack, except they condense it even quicker at Watford. But there are teams like Nottingham Forest, like Sheffield Wednesday, like Ipswich, that are big football clubs that would love to have spent 7 years out of the last 10 in the Premier League. So they must be getting something right at Watford.
Stuart, what do you think? You've heard Simon. What do you think if you're a Watford player and you've heard that from Wilder?
Well, I think that's an interview that will get wheeled out on a lot of FA courses for young coaches coming up and dissected. I really do. That it was underpinned with a massive amount of frustration from him. In this day and age, too frank, too forthright in the outside world, without a doubt for me.
Too self-serving, more like.
Well, you see it as is. And the sad thing for me is...
You've got a personal thing with Wilder. There's something going on there.
That behave the way he does. I don't. I think there's a loyalty in it. If you don't like something, walk away from it. And I think his behaviour at the end of Sheffield United was scandalous. I do.
Listen, I look at Watford and I view Watford, half of what Graham Taylor created there, the family club, the family feel, the structure, all of those types of things with Elton there and whatever. And then I see it now and I think, I'm saddened by it, to be fair. I think the most frustrated people in all of this are probably the fans of Watford. More so than the manager, the players, the owners and whatever. I think if you
what are they frustrated about? Watford are not a side that spends inordinate amounts of money. There are far bigger clubs languishing outside the Premier League over the last decade for far longer. Now, I get it. I understand the situation when it looks like you're a joke club firing managers in and out and there's no base to be built. And what you're talking about with Elton John and whoever else and Graham Simpson that run that football club, that football club is gone. Right? That's no longer here, and that's 40 years ago. We're now talking about a football club that the Pozzos are running, that's been in the Premier League for 7 years out of 10. So why is it that you would feel the need to feel sorry for the Watford fans because they're having one stinky season? West Bromwich Albion, I've been relegated 3 years ago. They've used all their parachute payments up. Their fans are going up in arms against the owners this weekend as a demonstration because they can't understand what's happening with that football club. Yet Watford keep bouncing back into the Premier League, down again, bouncing back in again. I don't think they need sympathy. I think Watford fans are probably quite pragmatic and realistic about it. They might not be happy.
I, as a manager, wouldn't walk through the door to work there. Because I've seen too much go before it. I don't like the way that managers get treated. I don't like the fact that managers... And you say, well... You've got a decent squad of players there. Get a tune out of them, and I take that on the chin as an ex-manager. But I'm looking at the structure, and I'm thinking, you know what? I'm not sure it's a pleasant place to work.
So what you're saying? If the Pozzos had come to you, you'd say no, thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah. I wouldn't.
But I think it's the purest. I mean, I don't think it's ideal. I don't think they should.
It's not ideal, but I tell you what, it's not. It hasn't have worked. I'm looking at Watford fans getting in touch this morning saying, "No, we're with Wilder. He's right. There's George. I'm a 50 years Watford fan. Love the football club. I agree with Wilder. He was right to say it,
and that's fantastic. Now, what happens next? If the outcome was, if it was designed, if that was a structured evisceration of his playing squad, and he knows the personalities. And he knows what that's going to create, and he's doing it from that point of view, then there may be some method to his madness. I think he's trading in the margins. I think the very nature of someone coming into that space is to do a job. I think so many of these managers, I'm sorry, they're not going to like to hear it, it's the emperor's new clothes with these guys. They're bloody charlatans. They've got to go in there and affect change. And they get built up in the media to be certain things, and they can't go and do it. And in another walk of life, they'll be held accountable. In this walk of life, they get the reasons for their... We know that this group of players are a bit flaky. We know they're a bit flighty. That's why you're in the door, fella.
Yeah, but
so
he's not a charlatan for doing it. What about the boardroom? Why are they not held accountable as well? Wilder's held accountable for how they do.
The boardroom...
And he's saying, wait a minute... This is not what I expected.
But again, well, then do your homework before you take the job.
But you're giving the Pozzos a pass here.
No, I'm not. I don't think it's particularly edifying. I said that. I don't think it's the greatest way to operate. But again, I set the bar. At what level do you expect Watford to be at them? Let's have it reality. Let's have a look at Sheffield Wednesday, one of the biggest clubs in this country once upon a time that are languishing League One. Let's look at some other clubs that would kill to be in the Premier League for as long as Watford have. No, it's not ideal. And maybe the Pozzos should run their business differently. But how unsuccessful is this model proving to be by comparison to far bigger football clubs? Nottingham Forest, the European champion, spent 23 years outside of the Premier League. Leeds United spent 17. This club have been in there for 2/3 of a decade, of the last decade. Wow, who's getting it right and who's getting it wrong then?
So you'd have preferred Wilder to keep his trap shut?
I would prefer Wilder to affect an outcome rather than necessarily tell everyone else why it's not his fault. I believe that leaders lead. I believe that you take responsibility for your actions. That is his side now. 12 games in, it's his group of players. If he can't affect an outcome or a change, where's the bounce? Where's the dynamics? Where's the job creation opportunities for development that he's supposed to bring in? We know what the problem is. The players were underperforming. That's why you came in the door. So you get to carry on then and blame everybody else. You've got no ability to affect anything in front of you. It's simply just the players.
He might get a tune out of them.
So
now.
then why do we bother with coaches then? Where's the hypocrisy in this conversation? We say that coaches are the fulcrum and the opportunity to achieve things, but now it's all the players. Then the next conversation, it's not the players, it's the coach. Depends which narrative you want to run at the time. The coach's job is to improve. And if it's exactly the same, then you're being ineffective. And it's great to have that rant, but what does it achieve?
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.